The laws are only enforced or advocated for by activists and conspiracy theorists when it applies to them. When it applies to anybody else, especially someone they don't like me, all of a sudden the laws and Constitution don't mean jack shit. You have to remember the ridiculous restrictions on AR rifles and assault weapons are just baby steps towards the goal of banning all guns. So to hell with me explaining how to escape these BS rules by just stop trying to be uber tactical and just make a real gun and learn to make your own guns so you can avoid literally just about every damn thing that would ever make it to where anybody could quote unquote ban or take your guns. They're not trying to ban or come for your guns because that's futile. Only an idiot would suggest it, and you hear people saying that. Lots of idiots suggest this. And also ignoring all of the BS rules that we're talking about here that have a history of being supported by the NRA for gun legislation for the mega corporations that are part of the industrial complex, the military industrial complex. 1920s, the NRA helped propose regulations for waiting periods between purchasing and receiving a gun, making records of gun sales directly available to the police department immediately, requiring a permit to carry a concealed weapon, longer prison terms if you disobeyed anyone concerning any of these subjects. 1934, National Firearms Act, and 1938 Gun Control Act, the first federal gun control laws, were drafted with the help of the NRA and Roosevelt. Heavy taxes and regulation requirements on firearms, requiring sellers and owners to register with the federal government many guns. NRA President Carl T. Frederick said this, testifying before Congress. I have never believed in the general practice of carrying weapons. I don't believe that the general promiscuous toting of guns. I think it should be sharply restricted and only under license. NRA Anti-Open Carry. 1963, NRA Executive Vice President Franklin Orth agreed, "We do not think that any sane American who calls himself an American can object to us banning mail-order gun sales." He didn't say it exactly that way, but that was the deal. 1967, NRA in California banned carrying of loaded weapons in public, except for certain people. Why? Because somebody was doing a Second Amendment protest. They wanted the right to keep and bear arms in California. They were black. That dead ass happened. This is 1960s. Don't act like you don't know this. 1968. Not the current year, but the year I was born. The NRA approved Gun Control Act of 1968, added a minimum age, serial number requirements, restricted the shipping of guns across state lines, and certain types of bullets can only be purchased with a show of ID. So when did the NRA suddenly give a shit about your right and mine to keep and bear arms or own them or make them without having to pay some large corporation? Originally, they started out just trying to prevent people from being bad at firing weapons because they noticed that when the United States actually had a conflict on our own soil, people who weren't experienced with hunting were shitty at it. So they set up shooting clubs to get people good at firing a weapon because it was considered, what is the word, behind every blade of grass? Assault weapon, by the way, if you're not aware of it, and assault rifle were both marketing terms to sell weaponry done by the military-industrial complex. They're marketing terms. They never had any meaning. But assault rifle has been adopted by the military and in laws as a generalized term to mean a weapon specifically, mostly, if not only, used for assault, not defense. It's an offensive weapon, not just offensive. The NRA's platform changed in 1971 only when one of their own was shot by ATF agents and got paralyzed. They were doing a house raid trying to collect tax money because he was a tax evader. So now all of their own work was twisted into and newspeaked into an unconstitutional liberal conspiracy. This is almost always how it's framed. Because only the liberals would do this. No conservative, no American would object to outlawing. People who don't read the fucking laws and the history and the revisions of it. The National Firearms Act of 1934 original purpose was to ban anything that they saw as being usable by criminals. And they found out handguns were the primary used thing, along with a couple of other variations of guns, including weapons that used to be used in the military. So they decided to ban any military-style weapons. But the specific types they found that would cause a reduction in the most shootings were machine guns and ordinary handguns. So they agreed to have them banned. Then, and it wasn't the NRA that rescued this, then when they realized that banning all of the handguns, or at least putting heavy restrictions on them, would be onerous to most people, they dropped explicitly the handgun restriction, but left all of the descriptions for handguns in it, including my favorite type of handgun. Wait right here. Space rifle. No, not really. Flare guns. I didn't do that just for dramatic effect. I literally did drop everything in that project. The front I got, I'm taking the space weapon and converting it over to the dark side. Potato gun. So anyway, yeah, literally, shotgun pistols are illegal not because they're a shotgun, but because they're a pistol. Cutting a rifle down because the barrel's damaged at the end and you just don't need it very big makes it an illegally converted to a pistol weapon. It's not a short-barreled rifle or short-barreled shotgun or sawed-off anything. It's that you're trying to get around the ban on having to be listed with the police, listed by name, and have immediate loss of rights. Oh, you don't know about that. There was a rule on books that said that if you registered with the government, they could just come to your door and break it down to check your guns. If you weren't home, they'd break the door down. You lose the right to a writ or, a warrant. The NRA was in favor of that. Hey, if it reduces the crime level, we're willing to give up some sacred liberties for safety. NRA 1934 and 1938. After Kennedy got shot, rules were passed. Can't mail order the guns anymore. Okay. I was going to get a mail order or whatever of just a drawing of how the diagramming worked for a Cobra pistol, because I wanted to be able to build the frame out to be able to go from a flare gun, which is a high bore item like that, and convert it to the dark side of going pew-pew with 209 shotgun primers and nothing in them. Just make a big cap gun out of it with a little revolver on it. Oh, hell no, we can't even give you the diagram because ITAR got passed. And yes, the NRA was in favor of ITAR at one point. But sure, shit all over me for pointing out that you can just get around some stupid ban on some superfluous bullshit feature for your AR-15 by just not using an AR-15, but using the ranch rifle that's the AR-15 equivalent. It'll do the same thing, and it looks like a conventional rifle. It doesn't have any weird-looking thing about it. It just looks like a traditional rifle. Like, you wish to be taken seriously as a hunter or sportsman, instead of trying to look like a fucking military person when most of you are washouts. Some of you weren't. And one of the badges of proof that you were in the military is that you could dead ass at one point just say, I'd like to have my service rifle. Just buy your own rifle. Because they were, in many cases, the military, depending on what year you were in, what branch, the rifle you got was more reliable than anything you could buy. Not because it was the best or the worst, but because it was just reliable. They were just dumb, functional, stupid functional things. You just have to convert it from auto or to semi-auto, or a lot of people would just convert them to single shots. They're just a reliable gun. It's like a 30-06 rifles are very reliable. They're overpowered for most things, but damn, they're useful. But they're really simplistic. That flare gun over there has a very few moving parts in it. Even if it's made out of plastic, that's the thing. You can make it out of plastic, and it's reliable enough to work for a long time. It's not designed to, but it does it. We used to build things well. I can make a brass version of that that's 105 caliber legally. I can't make it if it's a 12 gauge because of the stupid rule against pistols. The NRA supported that and then decided, well, okay, people don't like that. They just go with whatever the flow is. Yeah, this is all based on some crisis that happened. But shit on me for telling you how to get around the rules by not breaking them or even appearing to. Best practices are that you do things in such a way that nobody can touch you. Not that you stand there waving it around like it's your dick and saying shoot it or cut it off like a sausage. The ridiculous restrictions, assault weapons, except they're just baby steps towards the goal of banning all guns. They already tried that. There's too many of them. There's too many people like me who teach you, ungrateful little fucks, how to build them. Watch all the videos and you'll learn. Or ignore what I say, which is what you obviously did. Don't even read the description. Don't click any of the links that take you to literally as many resources as I would want. I'm always hungry for more. Ignore me. Call me an asshole if you want to. He's not doing that, but no. Make a claim that they are banning your guns. Right. And the NRA is going to point at liberals. They're one of the first groups to the table of this slop. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that.